What if the person blamed for a decades-old murder finally has a name? Tonight, Maya presses for justice and reckoning over past failures, while Leo breaks down the DNA and ballistics that could prove it. I'm Ethan. Stay with us as we test those claims. Tonight, we are caught between an official breakthrough and a public that has been burned before. Police say they have a name. Many in Austin remember promises that did not hold. We are going to walk that line carefully. Here are the facts. On December 6, 1991, 4 teenage girls were found gagged, bound with their own clothing, shot in the head, and the yogurt shop was set on fire in North Austin. Jennifer Harbison, 17, her sister Sarah, 15, Eliza Thomas, 17, and Amy Ayers, 13. Much evidence was destroyed in the blaze. There was no surveillance. The city was shattered. The case ran hot and cold. In 1999, 4 men were arrested. 2 confessed, later recanted as coerced. After Y-STR testing produced a partial male profile that did not match them, the convictions collapsed. Robert Springsteen and Michael Scott were released in 2009 after nearly a decade behind bars. For years, investigators chased the source of that mystery male DNA from the victims' samples. This summer, an HBO docuseries reignited attention. In its wake, Austin police say they have identified a new suspect, Robert Eugene Brashers, a man with a lengthy criminal history who died by suicide in 1999. Police link him through DNA and related investigative work. Reports cite cases in South Carolina in 1990, Tennessee in 1997, and Missouri in 1998 tied to him through DNA as well. A retired investigator has said the gun Brashers used to kill himself is allegedly consistent with a casing found in a drain inside the yogurt shop. Austin police emphasize the case remains open as they continue their work.
Look, before we say solved, we need to sit with the harms. 2 men spent almost a decade in prison on confessions they said were coerced. That is not a footnote. That is the story of how systems can go wrong. Families have ridden a roller coaster for more than 3 decades. Newsrooms breathlessly announcing closure, then silence, then reversal. We owe them humility, and we owe the public accountability for past mistakes.
And we owe credit when the science catches up. Genetic genealogy, targeted Y-STR, ballistics cross-checking, none of that existed back then. Detectives kept grinding while the internet turned the case into folklore. The man they named had no obvious Austin ties, which explains why locals never spotted him. Sometimes the answer is not in the usual suspect pool, and it takes new tools to find it.
Public narrative versus official line. One outlet says genetic genealogy delivered the ID. Another says a wide range of DNA plus ballistics. And the department stresses the investigation is ongoing. That is a real tension.
There is also the timeline tension. He died by suicide months before 4 local men were charged. If the state later says those men are essentially innocent, will there be a public accounting for how they were pursued?
Hold on. We cannot rewrite the 90s with today's tech. They had a fire-scorched scene, no cameras, a city in fear. Do better now? Yes, but let us not pretend the job was easy then, or that pressure was not intense.
What we know about method. In one TV report, a senior journalist said experts call it genetic genealogy, adding it has solved cases nationwide. Another station cited Y-STR DNA and ballistics in a city memo. Police say they have been in touch with the families and asked for patience as they continue their work. They have signaled a formal briefing and emphasized they never gave up over nearly 34 years.
Genetic genealogy raises its own questions. People have to opt in for matching on some platforms. The department itself has said it is not as simple as one hit. You need enough DNA, and labs can be costly and slow. And privacy stakes are real. The urge for closure cannot become an excuse to scoop up data without consent or transparency. We need clear standards so today's breakthrough does not become tomorrow's civil liberties case.
Fair, but the daughter of Brashers told reporters she gave her DNA, wanting answers. She said, in essence, half of my DNA is the person that hurt you the most, and I am sorry. That is a human being choosing to help. Also, investigators in Missouri dug up his body in 2018 to confirm DNA for other crimes. It is grim, but that is how cold cases move. Methodical, court-approved steps, not shortcuts.
And yet, as you just noted, it took decades. Meanwhile, 2 people carried a murderer label, while courts later found constitutional violations in how their confessions were used. Training and policy must change, not just tools.
Training has changed. Many of those interrogation tactics are barred now. Let us keep improving without painting every cop from that era as a villain. The villain here, if these findings hold, was a serial predator.
Let me mark the unresolved. Was Brashers alone? How did he end up in that yogurt shop near closing? The initial theory was a gunman forced them into a back room, bound them, shot them, then used gasoline to burn the scene. The blaze destroyed evidence. Earlier male DNA from assault swabs did not match the original 4 suspects. Now a linkage points to Brashers. Investigators say the case remains active as they follow additional leads.
I want clarity on that ballistic note. A retired investigator says the suicide weapon is consistent with the casing found in a drain at the shop. Consistent is not identical. What is the lab report? What is the chain of custody?
Good questions, and the briefing should answer them. But one caveat. Consistent can be meaningful when combined with DNA. Think of it as a corroborating brick, not the whole wall. We should hear the full stack of evidence.
Also, media framing is all over the place. One anchor said authorities plan to declare it closed. Police say it is still open. After what happened before, words matter. Let us not crown closure before the facts are public.
Agreed. Media gets excited. The city's memo reportedly referenced Y-STR and ballistics. That is cautious, technical language. The docuseries spotlight may have sped up communication, but the lab work took years.
Quick recap before we widen out. 1. The official identification of Brashers rests on DNA and related work, with some reports emphasizing genealogy and others a broader toolkit. 2. The department says the case remains active.
The human toll needs space here. A former firefighter recalled recognizing bodies in that smoke. Classmates said the hatred they felt was indescribable. Decades later, people still leave flowers at a storefront that is long gone.
Let us remember their names gently and precisely. Jennifer and Sarah Harbison, Eliza Thomas, and Amy Ayers. Autopsy notes mention small white earrings, a gold necklace, a Mickey Mouse watch, a high school ring, a Timex. Those details are not trivia. They are anchors to the lives that were stolen. When officials speak, I want to hear how they are supporting the families now, not only with answers, but with services and respect.
And how they clear the names of the men who were wrongly accused. One reporter said they may be essentially declared innocent. Do it plainly, publicly. If the cloud is lifted, say it without hedging.
Yes, and not as a side note. Lives were derailed, careers, families, mental health. If we want community trust, we need formal acknowledgement and, where appropriate, compensation. That is part of justice, too.
On the bigger canvas, this case shows how technology changes the arcs of hard stories. In 2009, a partial male profile said the old theory was wrong. In 2018, exhumation advanced other cases. Now, decades after, a name tied by DNA may finally connect the dots. It is not neat, but it is movement. Cold cases need persistence more than perfection.
Persistence must be paired with reform. As we improve genetics, reform interrogations. As we use genealogy, set guardrails. As we hold press conferences, own prior failures. That is how you earn the right to say never again.
A note on out-of-state links. One station recalled a lawman saying, "Make no mistake, he is a serial rapist and serial killer." If that history is accurate, national agencies may reopen files to check for similar patterns.
And if that search spreads, do it with care. Do not bootstrap one match into a dozen assumptions. Each case deserves independent corroboration, not guilt by pattern.
On community memory, we heard classmates say back then that hatred consumed them. Decades later, the daughter of the suspect expressed sorrow to families. That is the spectrum: rage, grief, apology. We should make space for all of it.
One more tension to park. Journalists reported that law enforcement did not have Brashers on their Austin radar back then. No interviews, no suspicion, and he had no known ties to the city beyond the crime itself. That begs practical questions for the briefing. Travel records, employment history, vehicle sightings, any link to the shop, to the neighborhood, to the victims. Those answers would move this from probable to persuasive.
And what about the possibility of more than one perpetrator? Early reporting spoke of a gunman, singular, but the scope of control that night suggests we should not rule out others. If there are additional suspects, say so.
If there were others, they might surface as labs re-examine samples with new methods. But we should not inflate hypotheses. Let the evidence lead, not our imaginations, or any docuseries narrative arc for that matter.
Speaking of narrative arcs, an anchor asked whether the docuseries spurred this. One reporter said no, the DNA work has been ongoing for years. Still, publicity can change priorities. That dynamic deserves transparency too.
Publicity also keeps pressure on cases that might otherwise gather dust. The trick is to separate storytelling from proof. Headlines do not solve murders. Lab benches and patient detective work do.
Last recap before we close. Families have been notified. Police say the case is active and ongoing. Reports cite DNA, possibly genetic genealogy, and a ballistic consistency, and the public will hear more at a formal briefing.
As that briefing comes, I will be listening for three things: a clear evidentiary timeline, a formal clearing of the four men, and concrete commitments on privacy and interrogation reforms. Anything less would be amiss.
I will look for the stack, DNA source and quality, the genealogy path if used, the ballistics report, and any travel or behavioral links. If the stack holds, then after all this time, Austin may finally exhale, carefully.
We will leave you with the names one more time, because that is what matters. Jennifer Harbison, Sarah Harbison, Eliza Thomas, Amy Ayers, 4 lives taken senselessly and far too soon, as police put it. Next week we expect new details, how the DNA was built, what the ballistic comparison shows, and whether additional suspects exist. We will be there, and we will ask the questions you asked us to ask. Stay with us.